on this trip. Even though we are going out into the wild, please make sure that we do have our indoor voices on. And also, please make sure that we are not talking to or trying to get the attention of these animals. Because unfortunately, they're not your pets at home, so they're not going to be coming to the sound of your voice. Alright, and we are heading into that Harambe Wildlife Reserve. And our luck already is going to start out pretty great. Because if you look over to the left, you're going to see that reddish-brown antelope, that's the bongo. And the grayish-brown antelope, that's the greater kudu. Also on the right, you're going to see our friends that looks like zebras, at least on that bottom half. And that is the okapi. Now, that okapi looks like they're related to the zebra, however we know they're not, because they're related to the giraffe. We know this because of their skull shape and their prehensile tongue. Now, prehensile means finger-like, and they're going to be using that finger-like tongue of theirs to grip the leaves off trees. That grayish-brown antelope, that the greater kudu. Now, we know those were female greater kudu that we saw, and there's another one up here on top of this hill on the right. Now, we know they're female greater kudu because they won't have horns. Also, if you look over to the left, you're going to see that black rhino. Now, that's a pretty rare sighting of the black rhino because there's only 5,000 left in the world. Now, that's due to poaching of their horns. Their horns are thought to be medicinal to us. However, we know that's not true because they're made out of the same material as our fingernails, and that's keratin. Now, they can also get up to 3,000 pounds and charge at 35 miles per hour. On the right, our friend with feathers, that's a saddle-billed stork, and also another greater kudu. Now, the saddle-billed stork, they get their name from that yellow saddle on their bill. They got their name pretty on the nose, didn't they? Their wingspan's going to be about 9 feet long, which is about the same size as the canopy above your head. Now, that reddish-brown antelope we saw way earlier on this trip, the bongo, both male and female, will have angled back horns to help while they run through the underbrush of the forest. That way they don't get tangled in it. Alright, that was the Little Aturi Forest where many animals will be using their coats to camouflage themselves. That way they stay away from those predators. We're now going to be heading down into the Safi River where many animals are going to be staying underwater. So keep your eyes peeled looking to the surface of that water for anything that may be underneath.
Oh, over there.
Like that Nile hippo over on the right.
Where's there? Look. Oh, there he is. Oh,
Now that's a pretty rare sighting of getting to see that Nile hippo out of water. Because they will be spending most of their life underwater. However, this doesn't make them aquatic creatures. Just makes them pretty good swimmers. Most of the time, though, they will just be trotting along the bottom. This trotting motion in the water is actually going to help those Nile hippos to make currents in that water that they will use to swim, and also help that water not evaporate as quickly as it normally would. On the left, you're going to see that grayish white bird on the island. That's the pink-backed pelican. Now, the pink-backed pelican gets its name from the color region.
He's under the water. It's like
That'll happen during mating season. Over there was another Nile hippo. Now they're actually going to be sleeping underwater. They can instinctively come up every 8 minutes to breathe. Now they can do that because their noses along with their eyes and ears are on the tops of their heads.
I thought there was the big scoop.
And over on the left, I see some
walk across
crocodiles.
Look at the size of those things.
They all sleep in top.
That is crocodile.
I didn't even see them.
But I bet you saw them. They saw you.
Now the Nile crocodile, they are the largest of the crocodilian species. They're able to eat up to half of their body mass in one sitting, which means their prey is going to be a lot larger than themselves. Now they're able to take down this much larger prey because their jaws can break through bone. They also are very patient eaters. They can wait underwater for up to 2 hours while hunting their prey. I'm not that very patient. Now, I don't tell you all this about the Nile crocodile to scare you because they are gentle creatures, at least to their own, as they will take their eggs and roll them in their mouths to help them hatch.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, ugh.
All right. We are now going to be heading down onto the savanna. When I say ooh, you say ah, ooh.
Ah.
Great job. Now the savanna is going to be home to many of Africa's most famous animals. Does anyone have any ideas as to what famous animals may be living on the savanna?
Lion.
Lions, yeah.
Bears, oh my.
Tigers are in the jungle. What in the horns?
Giraffes. Well, we see the giraffes way back there. Don't be a cheetah.
Are those trunks?
Yep. Way over there. See?
All right, and coming up on the right, we're actually going to start off with that Ankole cattle with those very large horns. Now, the Ankole cattle's horns, they're going to be about 4 to 6 feet long. Their blood is going to circulate through those horns all the way to the tips and take that excess heat of the Ankole cattle and disperse it. Now, those horns are actually not going to be that heavy because on the inside they have a honeycomb structure to them. They also are nicknamed the Watusi cattle after the Watusi people that first domesticated them. They were never seen for meat or dairy, they were seen more for currency. The more Watusi cattle you have, the wealthier you are. Now the animals here on the savanna, they're going to be using their speed to stay away from predators, unlike the forest where they use their camouflage. One predator they'll try to stay away from is that African wild dog over to our left. Now the African wild dogs, they're going to get into packs of about 5 to 15 with one alpha male and one alpha female. These two alphas are going to lead the pack through hunting and give them a pretty good success rate of about 80%. Now that's going to be comparable to those who hunt in more individual styles of hunting, like the lion, who will have a success rate of about 30%.
Yep.
Coming up on the left, you're going to see that tall dirt tower. Those are termite mounds. Now, termite mounds are made of dirt, spit, and dung, which is a bit gross. But they will bake in the savanna sun, getting as hard as concrete. And once they've gotten hard enough, elephants will then use them as scratching posts. When they've been worn down by those elephants, they will then be used by smaller antelope to see if any predators are around. Now, they look pretty solid. However, on the inside, they are very porous. Now, the savanna is going to host millions of animals throughout the year. While they are here, they're going to be tending to the savanna. The antelopes are going to graze the grass. The giraffes are going to prune the trees. And the elephants are going to knock down those old trees and eat their roots. If you see any knocked down trees while we are on the savanna, that means we're about to enter elephant territory. So be on the lookout.
Probably outside that hill there. It's not like you can't see the things. You keep as big as us.
Alright, coming up, I'm seeing that gray antelope. That is the white-bearded wildebeest. Now, wildebeest means wild beast, and they'll be the most densely packed herd of all mammals besides one. Does anyone have any ideas as to what the most densely packed herd of all mammals is? Any guesses?
Gazelle?
It's the human. I mean, just look at this truck. Now, the white-bearded wildebeest will be traveling 500 to 1,000 miles a year as they migrate through. They also have a nickname. Their nickname is New, and that's G-N-U, after a guttural new sound that they will make. On the right, you'll also see that small antelope over on the hill. That is the springbok. Now the springbok, they are actually a prime example of speed here on the savanna, as they are among the top 10 fastest land animals in the world. They're going to get up to speeds of about 50 to 60 miles per hour. They can also spring 6 feet in the air and 13 feet forward. Now that's going to be about up to the armrest on the truck and about half the length of this truck. Coming up on the left, I'm seeing some Maasai giraffes. Now we know these are the Maasai giraffes because those patches are going to be rough around the edges. Those patches are actually going to be as unique to them as our fingerprints are to us.
Look at this one right here.
Now coming up ahead on the right, I'm seeing a baby Maasai giraffe. Now those baby Maasai giraffes will start out at about 6 feet tall. Now that's probably taller than most people on this truck. If you are taller than 6 feet and above the age of 21, my name is Devin. At full maturity, that Maasai giraffe will get up to 20 feet tall.
We got one back here.
Raise your hand. Hi. I'm just kidding. Now over on the right, do we remember what we said the Maasai giraffe was related to at the beginning of this trip? That was really close, and I appreciate the effort. Oh, copy. Now, does anyone remember how we know that? Their skull and their prehensile tongue. Now, we'll talk about that in 1 second, but over to your left, you're going to see that mandrill. Now, the mandrills, they are actually identifiable by those red and blue face markings of theirs. The males, as they get more excited, they're going to get more vibrant in color. And I'll talk about that more in a second. Now back to the Maasai giraffe's prehensile tongue. They're going to have a mucus covering it. That mucus is going to be very beneficial to the Maasai giraffe because it will help them not get sunburn on their tongue. Because the Maasai giraffe will eat for about 16 to 20 hours during the day, consistently eating those leaves off trees. Now that mandrill that we saw, they are actually suffering due to habitat loss due to the cutting down of trees. One way that we can help this is we can recycle our paper and also just reduce our use in paper in general. Now many animals that are actually represented here on the reserve are suffering due to habitat loss out in the wild. Another reason for habitat loss that we know of is the mining of coltan. Now, coltan is going to be a mineral that's found in devices such as cell phones, also Xbox systems, PlayStation systems, laptops, and really anything with a rechargeable battery. Now, something we can do to help this is we can recycle our old devices. By doing this, we are actually making tremendous efforts to helping the livelihoods and natural habitats of many animals like that African elephant coming up on the left.
Two of them.
Our friends here, it looks like they are eating. Now, before they eat, they're going to shake that food. Now, that is not to play with their food, but to get the bugs and debris off. That way it doesn't upset their very sensitive stomachs. On a bit more of a silly note, though, through conservation efforts, we've been able to find out that the African elephant is afraid of bees. Now, that's because bees in Africa are going to be pretty aggressive, similar to the aggressiveness of the hornet in the U.S. They also will buzz at such a high frequency that it's very irritable to the African elephant's ears. Now, speaking of ears, they will flap those ears, and that's going to help to cool them off. We like to call it ear conditioning. They also live in a matriarchal society, which means they're going to be led by one much larger, more dominant female. Now, she's going to know all the best places to eat and drink, like that baobab tree on the right and also coming up on the left. It's those very large trees. Now, the baobab tree is pretty cool because it has two nicknames. The first nickname is the upside down tree, and that's because it looks like its roots are coming out of the top. Now, those are not the roots, those are the limbs. They just won't have leaves for 9 months out of the year to help to conserve the water inside of it, because come drought season, elephants and other animals with tusks are going to puncture the trunk of this tree to get that water out, and that's what's going to give it its second nickname, the tree of life. Over on our left, we're going to see that greater flamingo. Now, the greater flamingo is actually the lightest pink of all flamingo. They're going to start at a grayish color at birth. Through eating small brine shrimp and other water creatures high in beta carotene, they're going to get that pink coloration. Now, it's hypothesized the reason that they keep 1 foot up and 1 foot down is to regulate their body temperature. And a group of flamingos is going to be called a flamboyance of flamingos. And coming up ahead on the left, you're going to see some mud pits. Now, these mud pits are pretty cool, actually, because they're going to host many animals throughout the year. And while they come to these mud pits, they're going to roll around in them. And that's going to help them cool off and also act as a natural sunblock on their back. On the right, you can see that water buck. Now, the water buck, they're going to emit a smelly, oily substance that's going to cover their coats and make their coats waterproof. It also will help them find each other through that scent. They also are the antelope that's going to drink the most water, so they will never be found too far away from a water source. Alright, up ahead I'm seeing some white rhinos.
Nope. That's a lion.
And on the left I see a cheetah.
Is
Now
that
the cheetah
yeah,
is
that
going to
is a
hunt
cheetah.
during the day, unlike most big cats.
Oh,
They're
it's
gonna
over
hunt
there.
at night. Now that's because if they tried to hunt at night, those other big cats would be able to chase them away. And that's because they're built for speed and not so much power. They're able to get up to approximately 60 miles per hour in 3 seconds.
I got scared. He was running out. He's
Where'd he
literally running at us.
No, he's right over
However,
there.
they can only do that for a few hundred yards, about the size of one football field.
Mom, he's literally running up from the bus and came to us. There's a cheetah over there. I'm so scared.
On the left, you're going to see those white rhinos. Now, they get their name from the Afrikaans word bite. However, bite does not mean white.
Oh, here we go.
It's wide. It's just to do with this very wide and square mouth of theirs.
I'm trying. There's another one farther down. There's a big one down the road here. He's huge. Did you see the size of this guy over here? That was like
Here it comes.
Alright, and those were white rhinos. Now, when they get together, a group of them is called a crash. The only reason I can assume that they're called a crash is because, well, they have pretty bad eyesight. They're only able to see about 3 feet in front of them. Over on the left, you're going to see that lion just lying around. Now that lion is going to rest and sleep for 16 to 20 hours during the day. It's going to help to conserve their energy for the hunt at night. On the right, you'll see some more water buffing by that female lioness on her left, not that male lion. That male lion is going to stay back and take care of the pride. Yep, I see. Now, does anyone know the Swahili word for lion? Not lion. It's Simba. Yeah. If you're a wilderness explorer on board, you were riding the Simba 1, also known as the best truck on the savannah by myself.
The lion is Simba.
Now, lions during the day, they're going to have about the same eyesight that humans will, but at night their eyesight is going to get 20 times better. They also will have a roar that can be heard from 5 miles away. This roar is going to be very helpful for them, though, because it will let those who are not, or who are not. Oh, also a Montauk to the right. And some ostrich eggs. This roar is going to let everyone who is around know that that lion is awake, and if you're not friends with that lion, you should probably leave. Now that Montauk is going to be able to stand 5 minutes after birth and also walk 15 minutes after birth. Those ostrich eggs, they're going to fall from the ostrich and hit the ground and not crack one bit. Wow. They're actually so strong that you could even stand on one and they would not crack.
Oh my gosh. So how do you crack it?
Yeah, really.
Now friends, this is Magadi Glen. Magadi Glen is home to the warden's post. The warden's going to be staying here at this post and making sure everything on the reserve runs smoothly. Now it's not lonely for the warden because the warden has some Nigerian dwarf goats to keep them company. Now these Nigerian dwarf goats are super cute. They are domesticated and the warden's going to take very good care of them. While they are maturing, they're going to be very rambunctious though. They're going to run around, butt heads with each other. They also will jump on the roof of that house in the Jeep. Now, even though this rambunctiousness is them playing, it also helps them to establish a dominance order that they're going to use when they're fully matured. They also will produce a very nutritious milk that the warden is going to take to the village of Harambe and also sell out of the ports there. Speaking of Harambe, it does seem we're on the outskirts of the village, so I want to thank you all so much for going on this journey with me. It's been a pretty awesome 2 weeks, don't you think so? Thank you all so much. My name is Devin, and I do hope you enjoyed your time. If you didn't, then my name is Daniel. Did anyone see their favorite animals on this trip?
Yeah.
What was your favorite?
Lion.
Lions?
Yeah.
Giraffes? Now I do want to remind you that no matter where you live, you can always go outdoors and explore and help protect those natural habitats and the wildlife that live there. If you're interested in helping any of the animals you saw on this trip, then I highly suggest finding ways to help their natural habitats. One way that I try to help the natural habitats is I reduce my use of single-use plastics. I now use all-natural bamboo toothbrushes instead of single-use plastic toothbrushes. However, there are so many other ways to help these animals. You could recycle your old devices, get reusable water bottles. I also now have all-natural bamboo to-go utensils instead of single-use plastic utensils. There are so many other ways to help. I do want to challenge you, though, to find one small habit to change, because just by changing one small habit, you're making a tremendous difference to these animals in their habitats. Even ones that I can't even think of right now. There's also a monetary way, and that's the Disney Conservation Fund. Is one way I know of. Something awesome about that is for every dollar donated, Disney does that, match dollar for dollar. You can also go purchase any merch and round up to the nearest dollar, and that will go to the Disney Conservation Fund as well. Now, when you donate to the Disney Conservation Fund, you do become a conservation hero. Now, this does come with a button that does change in design every once in a while, so come back on your next vacation to see if that design has changed. It does make it collectible.